Okay. Yeah.
This is a new setting, and I'm still cut off. That's fine.
Oh my gosh! I thought it was just.
It was perfect at one point. Now it's maybe when it goes back to the live, if it goes back to the live.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. It's kind of supposed to cut off. Oh, hey, cool. Check it out. It worked.
Okay.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
We decided. Well, actually, no, we didn't decide it. Life decided to throw curveballs and keep us from doing things that we needed to do.
Mm-hmm.
We did the one episode. We did the one episode like 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks
Tiana
ago.
and Olivia, and then we were like, oh, "Cool, we have an idea of what we're going to do the following week," and then it just did not work out at all. Things got in the way. Personal issues got in the way. I'll share those if you guys are interested. I'll share those on another show. I don't want to take away from what we're doing today because we're doing something very good. I was going to say groundbreaking, but it's not really groundbreaking. But yeah. So here we are. We're finally back. We're finally doing this again. I guess I'll just ask the same question, Marie. What do you want to talk about?
Well, Dylan, so a lot of times I have to have my thoughts reorganized before they become this show. So when I often utilize ChatGPT to help me, like I put all my thoughts into it and it'll spit out a more organized version of events. And when I put in what I wanted to talk about, it suggested that we will be talking today about, how to handle difficult situations with grace, whether in a professional setting or a personal setting. And what I mean by that is a few weeks ago, because we tried to record this episode a few weeks ago, but it didn't work out because I made bad decisions and got very sick. And like right in front of Dylan, which maybe one day we'll share that backwards episode.
I think we still have that saved in our archives.
We do.
And we're like, we're going to hang on that we're going to hang on that for like a rainy day or whatever if we need to do. Because but the best part about that is, I don't want to derail you. The best part about it is when you got sick, I was narrating the whole thing.
I saw that.
So while you were like outside of the car, I was just sitting there just going like, I knew that was going to happen. I knew this was going to happen.
Slowly watching my face go white.
And the best part was like, I don't know if you noticed it. I guess we can talk about it now because I don't know if you noticed it, but like throughout while we were talking, like you would just like change your position in the seat, and then you would like put your sunglasses down, put your sunglasses up, open the car door, and I'm just sitting there watching you going like,
I was derailing fast.
we have that episode. It's not really an episode. It's like it's a moment in time. That is saved forever, but we're gonna keep that.
Oh my god!
Maybe that will make its way onto our different channels, or maybe not. I don't know, but the experience itself was very funny.
Yeah.
But, anyway, sorry, didn't mean to derail you. I just wanted to get that out there because that was awesome and that was funny at the same time. That was funny and irritating at the same time because it just kept happening. I'm just like. And the best part was like, here's the other thing too, is we can't like put the whole blame on you because at the end of the day, like, all right, I had this in my head that you were out with your friends and I knew what was going to happen. So I was like, then if she's not going to be in good shape, we're probably not going to record tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to do my favorite thing and I'm going to stay up all night, play with my friends playing video games. I stayed up till 4 o'clock in the morning playing video games. And then Marie texted me and it was like, I'll see you at 9 o'clock. And I just went, son of a. I was like, wow, she actually made it through. Good for her. Yeah. And then I get here and it just looked, I was just like, both of us look like both of us have no business being on a camera or talking to people.
I ended up forgetting my keys. So we had to record from the car and it was a hot mess. So.
It was fun.
But anyway, so a couple weeks ago, my husband Colin and I were in a Target. And inside Target, they have usually a Starbucks. So we were at this Starbucks waiting in line. And when it was our turn to order, like the guy taking our order was new. He was new, very green. And he had his training manager on, like, standing right back behind him, and he, every time that he input a drink, he would ask her, like, okay, how do you do this? What is the proper way to write it on the cup? Because at this, like, at I don't know, franchise stores, I guess you could say, they have the sticker machine. So, like, as soon as they plug in the drink, it prints out a sticker, and then they stick that sticker to the cup.
Oh, the shops.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But in Target, they still write on the cup. So they have to memorize, okay, vanilla is a V, you know, for the the syrup. Oh my gosh. And yeah, so this guy was figuring it out. And so very clearly, I usually order a nice coffee with brown sugar syrup, and I get my milk on the side because I'm picky, and Starbucks is the one place that I'll stand up for myself. I have done it before, but that's a different story that I would love to tell. Not this episode.
Okay.
So the lady was like, okay, you write SB1. She very clearly said that. And he was like, okay, cool. Well, my husband, I've gotten him hooked on also the same thing, but he actually makes it more frou-frou-y than I do. He adds hazelnut cold foam on top.
I can see that.
So he orders the same base, and when the barista went to write the SB1, she was like, why are you writing a 1? Very attitude, okay? And he was like, well, you told me to. And she goes, no, I did not, like, screaming at him. Meanwhile, the line behind us is going like crazy. Like, it's just more and more people. And he's totally under pressure. She's yelling at him. It's very awkward for us as customers. And, like, it was one of those situations where I was like, I wanted to be like, but you did,
right.
You know? And so the most graceful thing came out of his mouth. He looked at her mid-scream and said, you know what? Why don't we table this for now, get them through our line, and we can talk about it after they leave. Literally the most, I don't know, like, professional response I could ever, at a Starbucks in Target. That guy deserves a raise. He deserves to be the corporate. I don't know.
I was going to say, that guy's going places.
Yeah.
And it's definitely not in Starbucks, for sure. No offense if you work at Starbucks. I'm just saying, like, an attitude like that is... So, I've met people that have no business being in the corporate world.
Mm-hmm.
But they are, because they found a way to make it work. I have no business being in the corporate world. Only because of the fact, just for my background and the fact that I don't have a degree and stuff like that, right? Not saying if you don't, not saying that. What I'm just saying is, like, there's some people that are not suited for the corporate world.
Yeah.
But there's people that are suited for it, but you can also learn your way through it,
mm-hmm.
which is kind of what I've done.
Yeah.
I've learned how to speak corporate, I guess. I hate to say that. But again, like, an attitude like that and being able to talk professionally like that can take you into different places that is bigger than what your current surroundings are.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't realize that. So that's why I say that kid is going places. I don't know how old he was, but, like, obviously he's probably been educated for sure. He's probably educated for sure, because most people don't know how to react in situations like that.
Yeah.
Like, i.e. yourself. I mean, I wouldn't even know how to react in a situation like that. Like, it takes a lot for me to like, interject myself into that situation. Like, if I'm having a bad day, I will absolutely interject myself in that situation, because guess what? Now everybody's going to get my wrath.
Yep.
Because I had that happen to me over this past weekend. So, but yeah, you at least reported that, right?
No, I didn't.
I would have left a review. I'd have been like, listen, this is what I saw. This makes me mad. But then again, it's at Starbucks and at Target. Like, what are they going to do? Like, that's the only thing where I would be like, it's a Starbucks and a Target. So, like, was it a kiosk or was it an actual store?
Well, it's a store.
Okay.
Technically. But yeah, like, that was kind of our question. Like, Colin and I were walking to the car because we had already done our grocery shopping. We were going to Starbucks, like, on our way out.
Yeah.
So we were walking to the car and we both, like, looked at each other, and Colin looks at me and he goes, she said SB1. Like, it was literally just sitting on our brains. Like, should we have said something? But it was like he had already basically stood up for himself by saying what he
Yeah,
said.
absolutely. I mean, and other people are like, and people like me, like, standing up for yourself. There's
I'm sorry, I just had a dyslexic moment. It's BS1, brown
BS1,
sugar.
brown
Oh,
sugar.
it's fine though.
Oh,
I was saying SB.
I was okay. All right. Now that you say it, now it computes, and I'm just like, oh, what the hell is SB1 now? Interesting. But no, like some people like misinterpret like standing up for yourself in like returning fire, so to speak, because like she was yelling at him and then he was supposed to yell back or whatever.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is like people misinterpret standing up for yourself as like firing back at somebody the same way. Whereas if you can come at it from a calm demeanor, you can come out ahead in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
And it sucks. You don't want to. I hate to put it that way, because in a situation like that, there's really no coming out ahead.
No.
It's gonna end bad for either one of them. But if you come at it from a different angle and come at it from a more calm demeanor, you're gonna look a lot better.
Yeah.
And that was, again, that guy had the wherewithal to be like, we're in front of public and there's people around. These people could leave me could possibly are, a tip for me. This is, this could come back to bite me sometimes. So he was cognizant enough to realize where he was and be like, we can table that and talk about that later. Right now, let's get these people through this line. And that is a skill of its own, because again, when people are put in that situation, bad things can happen.
Yeah.
I've seen some really bad situations like unfold in situations like that. So kudos to him. I wish I knew who he was.
I know. And like the thing about Starbucks is that you can go on and specifically write a review about your experience, but most of the time they make it so difficult to get in touch with them. And then most of the time the only way you can fill out a customer experience is if they send you a survey. And the only way that they send you a survey is if you're visiting a new store. It's wild. At least that's been my experience.
Starbucks, fix your customer service experience.
Yeah, well, the Chipotle CEO just took over Starbucks.
I'm trying to figure out if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I'm hoping it's a good thing. I'm no stranger to Starbucks, and I have a problem. And when they changed their rewards program, I was not a fan. It made me so mad.
So you're like that old person that goes to the grocery store when they rearrange the grocery store.
Oh, no. Do not mess with my grocery store.
Yeah, I know. Trust me. I'm right there with you, because I'm like, I know where everything's at. Like, here's the funny thing, since we're on that subject. I will go to a certain store in a certain area. It could be like a 30-minute drive for me. I don't give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to that store because I know where it's at,
yeah.
and I know how to navigate it, and I'm getting everything I need. Never mind the fact that that same store is 5 minutes down the road from me now.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. I'm going to this one. I'm making that drive, and I'm doing it. It's even got to the point to where, like, I will buy proteins and meat there, and I'll take a freaking cooler with me, and I'll put it in the cooler.
No way.
And yeah, I'll put a cooler in the backseat of not the backseat, in the trunk of my car, and I'll put that stuff in that cooler in my car, so I will go to the store. That's loyalty. And because I know how that store is navigated. Now, that being said, there have been times where I've gone into that store and they have rearranged everything, and I'm just like, God. So now, and then I have to relearn where everything else is. But still, I will still go to that store because they don't change it up all that much, and it's easy to navigate, and sometimes it's in a really good area.
Yeah.
Because there are some sketchy areas that where you go to the store, like in a Walmart, like this, it can get sketchy, and you're like, I don't really
I got my legs stuck.
Comfortable building here. So that's part of the reason why I do that. But yeah, I will gladly drive to that store and get what I need, and then drive 30 minutes back just because.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I hear you.
So, But yeah, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing that a Chipotle CEO is taking over.
Well, he's the one that turned Chipotle completely back around and put it back in the black, basically.
So maybe it is a good thing.
Yeah, because Starbucks is struggling like bad.
That doesn't shock me, and I hate to say that, but it's so. And a lot of it, I think, has to do with the fact that there's a lot of like name brand and not name brand and like your corner stores and stuff like that are like popping up making coffee with the same business model that Starbucks has. And I think what's happened with Starbucks is now it's turning into one of those things where like it, they will never be like out outmatched as far as like in the coffee. They've been around too long. They've got too much of a following, but people are realizing that it costs a lot of money to do that every day. So they're either going to these smaller stores to get there to do the same, because the smaller stores will do the same thing.
Yeah.
They might charge a little bit more because it costs them more to do so.
Yeah.
Or they're doing it themselves at home. So I think that's where the issue is coming from. Is people are realizing like there are people out there that are doing the same thing, either on their own or in a same business model, but giving it a different name.
Yeah.
Like when we were in Vegas at the Westgate, that wasn't a Starbucks.
No.
That wasn't a Starbucks, but it was the same. It was pretty much the same setup the whole way around. It just wasn't a Starbucks.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure how that worked or how they got away with that, because it looked exactly like the inside of a Starbucks for one.
It did.
And it had the same color scheme and all of that. It's just they just weren't Starbucks. It was, but everybody said it was Starbucks.
Yeah.
Like you're like, I'm going to go to the Starbucks, but it wasn't Starbucks. You're like,
I know. The first person I heard say that, I was like, where?
and if I'm not mistaken,
it was not.
It was not a Starbucks, and I found that out very quick. I think, was it our second trip around where you found a Starbucks near, like an actual Starbucks near?
Yes, but it was one of those where it was like, I'll walk there, and it was like a 3.
Oh yeah, you can't walk anywhere in Vegas.
I was like, oh, it's just right there.
Yeah, let's walk the strip. That's 3 hours.
Yeah. However, it did have it was worth the walk because it was beautiful on the inside. It has like this mural of the siren and
oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
I'm mad I didn't go to that.
Yeah.
Oh, and if I'm not mistaken, like that one inside the Westgate had the siren.
Yeah, but it wasn't. It
wasn't
like,
a Starbucks.
Yeah.
It was just like a coffee shop, and then we were like, see, that's what I'm saying is like the symbolism of everything they just did. People are like, that's a Starbucks, but they're not calling themselves Starbucks. So they got away with it.
And if you wanted coffee from that place, you had to be in line at least an hour and a half
before they opened. Even before they opened.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny is I've never actually been there. I've never actually been to Vegas when there's not a pool tournament. So I'm wondering if that had anything to do with the tournament, or if it was just that place was that popular on its own.
That's a good thought.
Just because, but again, you can't go there and just like, you can't just like, I'm just going to run by there and get me a cup of coffee. You're not running past anywhere. First of all, there's no running past anywhere in that casino. For one. Two, you're not just going to drop by and get you a cup of coffee.
Yeah, I know.
Because that line starts and you recognize the line as soon as you got off the elevator.
Mm-hmm.
Like you get off the elevator and you be like, there are people in front of the elevator and you're like, what the fudge? And then you're like, excuse me. And then you look around and like they're in line for the coffee and you're like, there's no way. I would.
Yeah.
That's what I think. Like the second go around, like I bought my own energy drinks and brought them, and like they didn't leave a freaking what was it called? They didn't put like a fridge. No, we had a fridge, so I put them in the fridge. But I'll drink them hot. I don't care if I have to deal. I'm not dealing with any of that.
Standing in a line.
For that long for a cup of coffee. But yeah, that reminded me because I'm like, that wasn't a Starbucks, but they didn't even call themselves. We don't even know the name of that coffee shop.
I don't. Yeah.
Like it was the coffee shop inside the Westgate. That's pretty much what it was. And like,
fake Starbucks.
But the way it was presented and the way it looked, it was a Starbucks. And you're like, and that's what I'm saying is like people have like identified like the way a Starbucks looks.
Yeah.
And they were like, that's a Starbucks, and it's not a Starbucks, but they're like. That coincides with them. So
there is some psychology behind like certain colors and logos,
yeah,
and it's so cool to think about all that stuff. But yeah, like the siren literally draws you in, and that's what they're meant to do.
yeah. So like, was it like a big mural?
It was. It
Oh,
was
that's
a
cool.
whole siren on the wall. It was made of metal, and oh, it was so pretty.
That's kind of cool.
I think I have a picture somewhere.
Okay, we need to share that because that's kind of cool, and I'm kind of mad I missed that.
Yeah.
But I didn't want copy that bad, and
I was walking with she who must not be named.
oh yeah, to hell with that.
So
To hell with that whole part. Never mind. Okay, we got off tangent like we normally
Hello.
do. You're right, like we normally do. Okay, so yeah, if I could, if it was possible, I would absolutely leave a review,
Mhm.
and I wish I knew that, and I would be like, I would wish I knew that guy's name because I would call him out by name, and be like, this is what happened. And this is what he needs. This is what he did. This is what she did. This guy, she's not made for that role.
Yeah.
He's made for that role. But then again, I mean, there's other people that have to learn different ways of doing things, I guess. Like, you know, again, some people are made to be leaders, some people are not. Some people can learn to be leaders, but it takes a while.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is like people get put into positions that they don't have no business being in. But that's a whole nother topic. But it just made me think about that because I'm like, if that happens at that lower of a level, and I hate to say lower level because there's nothing low level about having a real job or having a job in general. Sorry, but imagine what it's like in like these Fortune 500 companies, and you've got people that are not made to be in those type of situations, and you have people that are like leaders, but they're not real leaders. They're just they're just for lack of a better term, dictators.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just like telling you what to do instead of showing you what to do. That is kind of disturbing in its own right because then you're like, if it can happen here, it can happen anywhere.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
hopefully. But yeah, but again, people misinterpret standing up for yourself as returning the same energy, which is a big thing these days. But again, it's a lot easier for you just to take the calmer approach, and you're going to feel a lot better. There have been multiple times where I've like jumped down somebody's throat after they've jumped down my throat, and I'm like, I really should have done that.
Mm-hmm.
I should have just let that fly. I should have just said thanks, but no thanks. Just walked away. But I have returned fire at some people, and I'm just like I don't like it.
Yeah.
So
I it doesn't feel good. And then when you are walking to the car, you're like, I should have done that.
Should have handled that better, right?
Yeah.
Because, and you know what? It's funny because I'll share that experience because it happened to me this past weekend. We part of the reason why we didn't record last weekend was not only did I have a lot of stuff going in my personal life, but also we were playing in triannuals, and normally the triannuals is a 1 day tournament. You're in, you win twice, you're done. You lose twice, you're out. No, it was a 2-day event, and there was like a 12 hours of pool nonstop for 1 day, and you're stuck in the same place, and everybody's not having a good time. Well, our team made it to the finals, and we were playing, and I think it was the very last match, and my teammate was already under a lot of pressure. Mm-hmm. She had to win. Mm-hmm. We had crunched the numbers. If we didn't win, if she didn't win, we were done. It was a win or lose, right?
Okay.
And the young lady that she was playing made a routine shot. It was nothing spectacular. And one of the teammates on the other side just on that team just screamed, "Yeah!" What even the 8-ball dropping? It was just a routine shot. And my teammate, of course, lost her mind and she got really pissed off.
Yeah, well, hello, sharking.
Yeah, that's what I said. And then so she lost her cool, and then the young lady made the 8-ball. And then that guy started clapping really loudly, obnoxiously. And so my teammate returned fire and was like, got in his face and did that. And he screamed in her face again. Yeah! And she got pissed off. And his team captain just smacked him on the arm and goes, "What the fuck are you doing? Stop that. That's bullshit."
Yeah.
And that guy was laughing the entire time. And he was just laughing about it. And he had a cigarette and went outside. And I'm just sitting there. And I've had a horrible weekend. I've had a horrible week. The stuff happening in my personal life, coupled with the fact that I was stuck doing the same thing for 24 hours, and then it didn't go my way. I was livid. I was pissed. And then I saw that happen to my teammate. It made me even madder. So I did something I normally don't do. Like, I was smoking a cigarette. I went outside and I started yelling at that motherfucker. I started yelling at him. I was like, listen, dude, that was bullshit. Mm-hmm. For a fact you shouldn't have done that. He goes, like, she did the same thing. Like, no, she didn't do the same thing. She did the same thing to you, but you got in her face and you did that. And I was like, so what you're going to do is you're going to go inside and you're going to apologize to her, because I'll be damned if I end this weekend the way we just said. So you're going to go inside, you're going to apologize. Mm-hmm. And I just completely lost my mind. And as we were walking in, I was like, and he was just mouthing back to me, and I was just like, shut up and go apologize. Stop talking, go apologize, because that was bullshit. And he was like, what are you going to do then? And I was like, brother, you don't. I was like, in the mindset that I'm in, you really don't want to know what I'm going to do. Yeah. And then I made him go in there, and I was like, you apologize to him, you apologize to her, and we're going to fucking end this day the way it needs to be. And then you're going to shake hands, and you're going to go outside, smoke your cigarette, and then you're going to go home. And then the league operator got involved because they were trying to talk. And then one of my teammates was like yelling at the guy because they were trying to talk. Yeah. They were literally trying to talk to each other. And my teammate got involved, was telling him to like walk away and stuff like that. And then the freaking league operator came in and was like trying to keep things from getting escalated. I'm like, no, you two are escalating this. Yeah. These two are talking. If anything, I escalated it because I started yelling at the guy. But you guys are making this worse. I made it worse, but y'all are making it even worse. So you stop talking, you stop talking. And then they apologized, shook hands. I'm like, all right, now go off. And you go cool off. And then I was like, I could have handled that way better. But I was in one of those mindsets where I was just like, I don't want to end. Like, I was like, we played this game for 24 hours straight. Mm-hmm. Right? And we barely got any sleep because we didn't leave the following day until about 2 o'clock in the morning. Maybe 1 o'clock in the morning, right? And I didn't fall asleep till 3 o'clock when I got home. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'll be damned if that right there is the way this whole thing ends. At least I can end this on a different note. I'd rather end it by winning, mm-hmm. but I'm going to end it on a different manner because I've had such a shitty weekend and a shitty end of my week. I'm not going to end my weekend like that. No. So again, it was not the right. I didn't handle it the best because I went out there and I just I lit into that guy. And I've never done that before in my life, by the way. I don't light into people unless you absolutely just cross me. And it's hard to cross me. There have been times where, I've made a jackass out of myself, and that was one of the times. But I was just like, I'm not dealing with this. I'm done. You apologize to him, you apologize to her, and then both of you can cough. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that made me but yeah, I see that situation, and I could see where that guy was like, yeah, we're gonna talk about this later.
Table this for now.
Let's table this for now.
I love that.
That's a funny response.
Started using it,
incorporating it. Yeah,
I'm like, okay, well, man,
let's table this for now and then talk about it later.
Anyway, okay. Do you want to go into the text?
You want to go into that text? Yeah, we can go into that.
Okay, let's put this up here. So, couple weeks?
Yeah, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was surfing the black hole that is Facebook. And just regularly scrolling through my feed, and every now and then, I come across stuff that I have no idea how it got there or why it was there. And I came across a text thread that somebody shared on a random page between two people. And the context was, so the status of it was giving context of these two had either just started dating, or they had just started seeing each other, or they just started talking. I don't know. I can't remember. Mm-hmm. And I read it and I saw both sides as to what was happening and what was going on. But I'm like, you know what? I'm going to share this and I'm going to get some other people's thoughts. That thing friggin' blew, and everybody was like, I want more context. I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't have any more context. This is what I got. Everybody was like eating popcorn ready to read this. They were like, they wanted more. I'm like, no, I'm sorry. This is all I got. This. I was like, this wasn't supposed to blow up into a into a thing. It was just like, share your thoughts. And so
Yeah.
people, but most people agreed that she didn't communicate properly. I lost my train of thought. Sorry. Yeah, most people, like a lot of people on there, were like, she doesn't need to be dating. She's obviously have some other issues going on.
Yeah.
Or it was, she could have communicated that clearly, or more clear. I guess I don't know what the technical term is. And then like that was the thing was like in the regular before I shared it, there was a lot of people in there that were like, dude, run as far away as you can. But again, I was sitting there and I was reading through it, and I agreed with both sides because I think it was like 2 or 3 days into them talking. I can't remember. It's been so long, and I'll never be able to find this again because again, it was a black hole. That's Facebook.
Yeah.
So it was just doom scrolling. But apparently, I think her name was like Paola or something like that.
Probably.
And I can't remember, but
you want to read it like I'll read the green, you read the black.
I could try that.
It's for the people at home.
Yeah, I got it. No, let me be sure. So I'm wishing I had my Crayola here, LOL, which was red flag number 1, by the way.
And she says, chill out, with a bunch of laughing emojis and then the shocked face emojis.
Okay. So the other thing too, so you notice how it says yesterday at a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
He, like, the good thing about him was he realized, for lack of a better term, he kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
And he was like, and he felt that conversation part.
Yeah.
So he was like,
he gave her some time.
And he gave her some time.
Because it doesn't do that unless you...
unless you wait. Unless you wait till the following day.
Yeah.
Right? And that was at what? 6:52? Does that say 6:52?
PM.
Yeah. So 6:52 p.m. So there's another almost 24 hours or 12 hours between the next message.
Okay.
I think. I don't know. And he says, how, and then so he just like, in the most interesting way possible, he just says, just transitions, how was your day? Tries
to maybe start over, I'm guessing. And she says, you get me, ? Just cause like you don't know me, so that feels a little personal for right now.
Wait, what? I'm confused. It's hard to interpret through text, by the way.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking for reassurance that you understand why I asked you to chill out.
Was it the joke that was a bit too insensitive? If so, then I sincerely apologize, though. Your reply to it originally did not seem to indicate that.
Chill out indicated what to you. Wait, sorry. Chill out indicated what to you?
The way you said it made it seem like, hey, that's funny, but you're treading the line.
Okay. So that's part 1. Let's get part 2. Here we go. She says, okay, cool, LOL, you get it. That's all I wanted. Laughing face emoji. Yeah, I wouldn't have called it an insensitive joke. You were just being cute. A little too cute, but just being sweet. I just wanted to slow you down, and I needed to know you caught the message. I'd feel better if you acknowledge it if I tell you something like that.
Hey, I enjoyed our combo up until now. And bringing I enjoyed our combo until now, and bringing red flag / deal breakers back up. This passive aggressiveness is definitely one of mine. I'm going to cancel our date tomorrow. Have a good night.
She said, aw, wasn't being passive aggressive, just trying to communicate that I just need a little acknowledgement, reassurance, comfort to feel heard, and that you'll respect my boundaries. Wasn't a big deal to me. I just didn't want to glaze over it either. Like, I didn't ask you for an apology or tell you that you were insensitive. I just wanted to know we're on the same page.
By the way, not on the same page at all. That's completely... Like, the way we just read that, right?
Uh-huh.
Think about that if they were having that... Think of how bad that was on... Like, if they were on the phone with each other. Like, think of how that would have gone.
Mm-hmm.
It's even worse through text thread.
I feel like they could have talked it out better if it was over the phone.
It's you know what's funny is my therapist brings that up a lot because if you listen to the show, I don't like talking on the phone because phone calls for me have become very transactional.
Mm-hmm.
It's what do you need? How can I help you? Maybe there are a few people that I can have a long conversation with, but it's very few. So that's the thing is like phone conversations become very transactional to the point where like I don't want to do that because it for me it sends the wrong message because I'm not in a hurry to get you off the phone, but it's one of those things where I'm just like you called me and we really don't have anything to talk about. You wanted to do X, Y, and Z. We got X, Y, and Z done.
Mm-hmm.
Now have a good day.
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever,
Yeah.
So phone calls become very transactional, which is something I need to get better at, but I have no reason to get better at because nobody talks on the phone anymore. Except when you're trying to do something. But my therapist has brought up, he's like, he goes, it's easier for you to talk it's better for you to talk on the phone because you can't get cadence and you can't get tone through text.
Yeah.
However, I disagree with the fact that you can tell when something is off by like and this is really sad that we've gotten to this point in our communication where you can read into it. Sometimes you read too much into a text, but you can see the conversation going downhill. You can see, the one word replies, the one word responses, stuff like that. And you can tell the tone is shifted. And I think, so I agree that you need to have more conversations on the phone to hash things out.
Mm-hmm.
But not being able to interpret what like through text what's happening, I think our society's got to a point where we've texted and done this whole thing for so long that we can just tell when something's going wrong.
I agree. It's not 100% foolproof, but it's
no. But there's
up there.
But there's a pretty you have an understanding.
Mm-hmm.
You'd have a better understanding if you talk to the phone, but I just don't know that awkwardness on that phone. Like, can you imagine if he said that, and then like the way the text thread went, right? He says that, she says chill out, and then there's just like dead silence.
Yeah,
that's how that conversation went.
Yeah,
then it was dead silence, and he was like, "All right, I messed up. Let her cool down or whatever." And she could have easily like that couldn't have waited. That didn't have to wait until the following day.
Well, and the thing that I don't know. I want to say it kills me because like we don't have the text chain prior to that.
Right.
All we know is that he tried to call her a sweet little nickname, and she didn't like it, but she didn't really voice that.
Yeah.
Like, what does chill out actually mean?
And the way she interpreted it, or the way that she said it, is not the way that she meant it.
Yeah, because like, why add all of those laughing face emojis after chill out if you like really didn't like it? Why not just say, haha, that was cute, but I prefer not to be called that.
Can you slow down a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, slow down a little bit instead of like waiting for the following day for him to text you
and then blow up
blow up on it. And he was, and then, imagine then it's all of a sudden that guy's like, I gave you time to relax off of this. Or, why are we still talking about this?
Yeah.
Like
we're just
spinning our wheels at this point. Like all you had to do was say, it's not, I appreciate the gesture, but please don't do that. Not anymore. Cool. No problem.
I feel like I appreciate the fact that he was saying, listen, you're kind of giving me a red flag and I'm out. Like that takes a lot of goal.
Yeah. He took that and he's like, you know what? Maybe this isn't what I think it's going to be. So I'm just going to exit the conversation, which, is difficult to do, especially like the dating these days too, because like a lot of people are willing to overlook a lot of red flags because of how like dating and the dating pool has become.
Yeah.
And I do a lot of complaining about the dating pool, but it's it's just one of those things where like but you encounter those people like that they say they're ready for certain things and then they're actually not because they're trying to push themselves into it, and you're like, and then it just like completely falls apart. Like there have been like I've had conversations like this before, not to that extent, but I've had conversations that have, I've met someone and they will say all the right things up front.
Yeah.
And it's almost like sort of love bombing in a way, but not, because it's like the feedback that you're getting from them is the feedback that you want to hear, and they're telling you all the stuff, they're telling you all the right things. And then maybe 1 or 2 weeks later, all of a sudden it just completely shifts.
Yeah.
And you're being ghosted, or the responses are taking longer to come through, or they don't flat out tell you they're not interested anymore. And it's a struggle, because like people think, first of all, I'll say this: no response is a response. That's another thing. That's one of the things that have helped me, because I hate the ghosting thing with a passion. Have I been guilty of it? Absolutely. Do I do it on purpose? No, because the thing about me is I don't double text. If I send you a message,
and you don't respond,
okay, I'm not responding, because and I don't know where to draw the line, because like somebody will message me, I'll respond to the message, and they don't respond, and I'm like, all right, conversation's over.
But is it ever is it a, what am I trying to say? It's not like an open-ended text, or is it like would you ever send a text like that would be the end of that conversation, and then like maybe start a brand new, like, hey, how was your day?
I used to do that a lot, but and I'm gonna say dating trauma for me. I'm gonna say dating trauma because I don't know any other word. Sorry. Like I will try to do that, but then I won't get a response at all.
Oh.
So then that's like, you know what? To hell with that. I'm just not gonna. If you don't feel the need to respond to my text messages when I send you the first one, then I'm not going to do the second one, because then I'm not going to chase you, if that makes sense. I hate, that's the problem, is people won't admit that, if you're on the same wavelength, but people have this mindset of, I want you to chase me, but I'm not going to tell you I want you to chase me. And you've got that other person who's like, I'm not going to chase you. I wouldn't mind chasing you if you gave me the right reasons to chase you.
Yeah.
And they're just like, no, I'm not going to tell you anything. You're going to have to figure it out on your own. And I hate that so much, because you could solve so many issues if people were a lot more upfront.
Communication.
And the whole communication thing. And it doesn't have to be anything like overbearing or over the top.
Yeah.
Just like, and there are people I tell all the time, is like, I don't double text. Mm-hmm. It's I did it for a long time. I've also got to the point where it's like, I need you to impress me.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
And there's nothing wrong with
because that. Because it's like with the whole like the double texting thing, it sometimes it can come off, I don't want to like too, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say pathetic, because that's rude. But desperate. I don't want to say desperate, because that's probably not the same thing, but I'll say desperate because I don't have the right term.
Okay.
But and people, and some people are like, because you got these damn dating coaches on like online and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I come across them. I have no idea how I come across them. But I'll come across them and they're just like, don't double text, it comes off as pathetic and needy and all this stuff. So you have people doing that. But then you have those women who will post those memes and be like, double text me, chase me, do all this other stuff, love bomb me. And you're like,
what do you do?
Like, what do I do? Mm-hmm. And I've gotten to the point where I'm like, you know what? I don't do the whole double text thing, because it's like, if you wanted to talk to me, you would. If you wanted to respond, you would. Now, has that cost me a lot of like potential like suitors? Probably so.
Do you give it like a certain amount of time before you're like, oh, I'm good? Or is it a solid 24 hours, or is it like it's 2 hours? Or because sometimes people get busy, or like people like me who like, I will read a text, think I replied, and I never did,
or type it, or read it, reply to it, and not hit send.
Yeah.
And it's also just sitting there in your thing. Yeah. And that's fine. I'm good with that. But the other thing too is, if you don't tell me, I don't really have a time frame. I don't put a time frame on it, because of the fact that if I send you a message and you don't respond to it.
Eventually, I feel like I would be like, oh my gosh, like, why haven't I heard from him?
Yeah.
And just, like, be like, oh, I'm so sorry,
Yeah. But it's just, I don't want to give somebody, and I hate to say this, I'm probably going to get in trouble. I just don't want to give somebody that power.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't want you to think that you have this control to where I'm going to chase you, because if you aren't going to respond to my text messages, then you're obviously not worth me chasing.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Because it's just one of those things where it's like, and I don't put a time frame on it, because if I text you and you don't respond back, but then all of a sudden, like maybe 1 or 2 days later, you text me like, hey, I got busy or whatever, I'm fine with that. But if they don't text back at all, it's like, okay, I just leave it alone.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe if I said I'm gonna solve a lot of problems, that maybe not. Because one point I had, like, I can't remember what triggered me to do this. I did the whole Facebook dating for a while.
Mm-hmm.
One, because it's free, and two, if I'm gonna get catfished, I'm gonna do it for free. I'm not gonna, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I'm not gonna pay $24.99 to go on Tinder and get catfished and just not get any matches. Whatever.
Waste that time.
And the whole dating app thing is just like one of those things where I was like, there's too much work that goes into this bullshit. Would I probably have a better chance of dating if I did that? Probably so. But the amount of work that I have to put into the whole dating app thing just is like overwhelming. And 90% of the people that are on there anyway think they want something, but they don't want it. And you're just like, okay. But I did the whole Facebook dating for a while, and I got a lot of matches and I got a lot of numbers. But at a certain point, I don't know where my brain clicked. I can't remember. I was going through my contacts and I saw all these names that I recognized, but I was like, I haven't talked to them in like 6 or 7 months.
Mm-hmm.
So I just started deleting these numbers, just left and right, just deleting. And there were a few numbers that I kept because I was like, there was potential at one point. So like, I'm going to keep it. And I did the whole most toxic thing possible. And I messaged them and I said, hey, notice we hadn't talked in a while. Still had your number. Just wanted to say hi.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they responded, and then they didn't, then they would respond. The conversation wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
And I just deleted them. And I just deleted them. So now the only women that I have in my phone is, there's few, but there's you, there's my mom, there's my sister, and my friend Katie. Mm-hmm. So I don't have any other friends in my contacts. And I'm like, and I don't know why that was cathartic for me, or that was like,
maybe it feels like a fresh slate. Like
I don't know, but I was just like, I'm done like having this bullshit on my phone. Like I was like, I don't know where it triggered, but I think it just started. Like it just clicked in my head. I was like, I don't know why I was going with my contacts either. I haven't talked to that person in forever. You don't have to delete. And then I would message somebody and they would respond, but then the conversation would just die. And I'm like, gone. Because obviously, yeah. And it was just, because one of the things that I think it was a friend of mine told me was, he was like, just because it can't happen now doesn't mean it won't happen in the future. I.e., it's like somebody's busy or whatever. Mm-hmm. And but I was like, that kind of helps the whole ghosting thing, because it's like, they're busy, whatever. But it's like, at what point are you like, this is taking up too much space on my phone. Your vanity is sucking up my bandwidth. You need to go on. So yeah, we got off topic, but yeah, like dating in general these days, again, it goes back to what I said, is like looking both ways where you cross the street and get hit by a plane. Because that poor guy right there got hit by a plane.
Yeah, 100%.
Because he had no clue. Because he gave it time and then restarted the conversation. Not like a fresh start. He just like restarted the conversation the following day. And then she just immediately just like went into the whole thing, and he's just like, what the hell? And then the way she responded towards the end, like, "Aw," like the whole entitled like text, and that whole entitled way of she responded, like she was.
It's like she flipped the script when she realized she wasn't gonna get what she wanted. I mean, honestly, that's how I felt about it.
Like when she was like, she just like completely like, she realized she got called out.
Yeah.
And then she was like, no, you can't call me out.
Yeah.
And then it was like, I don't really care that you said that to me. The way she responded was read to me like, I don't really care that you said that to me because it's not true.
Yeah.
But whatever. And then if somebody responded to me that way, I'd be like, okay, obviously the conversation, all right, this is done, dead in the water, because just the way she responded,
But even his response was pretty graceful, honestly. Just like that Starbucks guy. Like to be able to just, I'm good. Thank you so much, but I'm good.
I've enjoyed this conversation up until now.
Yeah.
And you gotta go.
Yeah.
That
was pretty.
Which I'm pretty sure that's where it came from. I think that's what triggered me to do what I did, as far as like the whole texting thing.
Yeah.
Was because I'm like, you know what? These conversations aren't going anywhere. They're just taking up space, and whatever, gone, delete. I was like, and also if they want to, and the other thing too was that there are multiple ways to get in contact with somebody nowadays. You can message Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. There's multiple ways you can everywhere. You can get in touch with somebody. You don't have to have their phone number.
Mm-hmm.
Is it more personable? Is it more intimate to have their phone number? Absolutely. That's my thing. Is like it's more intimate to have their phone number.
Yeah.
And I think also, you know what? Now that I mention it, I think that's the reason why I did it, because there was no intimate reason for me to have your name in my phone.
Yeah.
And that's probably the wrong way for me to say that, because I still have my mother and my sister, whatever. So I'm not going to, you as well. So probably not the best way to say that, but you get what I'm saying, where it's like, why do I have this random person's number? At this point, I have a random person's number in my phone that I don't talk to at all.
Yeah.
But if they want to talk to me, and if they somehow remember me or remember me, they have my number. They can text me.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what? I'm going to end this now. Plus, I don't want to have the temptation of texting them when I shouldn't, if that makes sense. Because sometimes you text somebody out of the blue or whatever, just because you wanted somebody to talk to, and that's not a good thing to do, because then it just, sometimes it's okay, but then it's like, again, at this point these are random numbers. I had my name. Your name was in my phone for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's not in here for a reason. Mm-hmm. There's no reason for you to be here. No offense. Sorry. You're taking up space at this point. So, but I think that's what triggered me, is because he was like, you know what? I'm good. I don't need to have this. And I was just like, why did I do that? But it just felt like, it seemed like a good idea at the time. And it's like, you know what? Again, there's dozens of ways people can get in contact with each other now. Facebook, stuff like that. So it's like, if you don't have my number, there's ways you can find me.
Mm-hmm.
Again, what was it go back to? Again, impress me.
Impress you.
Come find me. I hate to be that way, but at the same time, it's like, at what point do you sit there and be like, listen, I have all the tools necessary to move forward in a relationship?
Well, honestly, I feel like you...
And I'm sorry, I don't want to make this about me.
Wanting to be impressed by them, but them also impressing you is an equal partner. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's setting you up for someone who's going to equally balance you. My resume,
so to speak, should speak for itself.
Yeah.
Like, so I shouldn't have to voice all the things that I have that I bring to the table.
Mm-hmm.
Can you? Yes. But again, I think that whole thing, like, what do you bring to the table? I think that whole thing is played out. Well, not really played out, because, you start to realize that somebody brings nothing to the table, or they bring more, or whatever, But it's just one of those things where it's like, my resume and the way I live my life, and the way, like, it speaks for itself. Mm-hmm. There's no way around it, So you don't have to be like the most impressive person in the world. Like, impress me. Do what you say you're going to do.
Mm.
Like, when you keep the same energy that you have when we first started talking, because that is also the biggest problem, is people don't keep that same energy. And there's a whole love bombing thing and stuff like that. Like, they say all the right things up front, which that's not a good thing.
How quickly do they lose it?
Exactly.
Is my question.
And 2 weeks, maybe.
Oh.
See, that's what I'm saying, is like, it happens all good up front, and then maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, it just turns, like, completely sideways, and you're not getting that same response that you had at the beginning.
Yeah.
Which, again, that's a pretty big red flag, because of they're doing all that up front, and then it's not the same. You're like, oh.
Yeah.
But that, again, that's just my experience. Like, there have been multiple occasions where I have given my number out, and I don't do that often, because I I don't. And it's worked, and then it's not worked. Then it's like, and then it just becomes a random name on my phone at this point. So it's like, which again can be pretty freeing because, like, I even deleted my ex's number out of my phone.
Wow.
Yeah. She like, oh, we're still live. I forgot. Whatever. I'm gonna tell. I'm gonna tell it. I still had some things. She has some things that belong to me. Because when we were living together, she had some stuff in her storage unit that belonged to me.
Okay.
And I had some stuff in her storage unit that belonged to her. So I can't remember. I was holding on to this piece of furniture for her because she didn't have room in her storage unit. And she was like, give me 2 weeks and I'll come and get it from you. Cool. Well, 2 weeks turned into like 3 years. And I wasn't being, and at a certain point, like there was no contact between the two of us for like 2.5, almost 3 years, you know? And at a certain point, I would go to my storage unit. I just got tired of looking at it. I'm like, you know what? I texted her and I was like, listen, I don't mind holding on to this, but it's either I need you to come get it out now or I'm going to donate it. And it was a piece of furniture that belonged to her grandmother, which is another reason why I kept it so long. But again, why haven't you reached out to me? So she came and got it and did what she needed and came and got it. And then maybe sometime within the last couple of months, we reconnected again. And then she brought me stuff to her storage unit. She brought my stuff that was in her unit to me. And then, which by the way, they were all my pull trophies. So like, if it was anything else, I wouldn't have given a shit. But that stuff I have to have.
It's a good problem to have, but man, I struggle on where to put these trophies.
No, there's nowhere to put them. Those things take up way too much space.
I would need a trophy case. They're all over my house.
Yeah, these are all sitting in a box in my storage unit.
Good problem to have, though.
Yeah, but she's like, I know they're important to you. And I was like, yeah, they're very important. I completely forgot about them. Thank you. And so she brought them back to me, and we talked for a little bit. And as we were talking, so everybody knows that I've gone to therapy. I'm in therapy, and I'm constantly in therapy because of all my past experiences, my traumas, and stuff like that. I've done that. When you connect with somebody, and you're going through that journey, and you're talking with somebody, you start to realize that the way they're talking is completely different. The way you're handling things, the way you're talking, and you realize you haven't grown at all in the time that we've been apart. You haven't grown up at all.
Yeah.
And. Yeah, and that's a hard pill to swallow because you're like you haven't changed a bit. I mean, you haven't really changed at all. You're the same person. Not that that's a bad thing, but it's like you haven't accepted the problems that you have. You haven't taken the steps that you needed to go, and that's what I realized with her because I was holding on to the hope that there might be something.
Yeah.
Still, but as we were talking at my storage unit, I started slowly realizing that you haven't grown up at all. You haven't changed a bit. The same person you were 3 years ago is the same person you are now, but you're not like trying to work through the past that you had created for you. You haven't done any of that,
That takes a lot to recognize, so I'm proud of you.
And I saw that and I was like, I can't. I was like, I have to let this go. So I did that, and and she was never the best at like communicating anyway. So it was like, me doing this is not going to cause any problems. So, but yeah, that was, again, when you're on the phone, like it just goes back to the whole like in person versus over texting. I looked at that and I saw that and I was like, this hasn't changed. It hasn't changed at all. So I deleted it. And again, it just goes back to the whole thing. Just because it doesn't happen now doesn't mean it'll happen in the future. Well,
right. She could, go through therapy yourself.
And I told her, we had before this, we had a pretty like detailed conversation, about a 2 or 3 hour conversation. We met up at a coffee shop and we talked about things that were going on and stuff that we're doing. And we had a pretty detailed conversation about, just about like life in general, because I admitted a couple of things, and I was like, I told her, I was like, you know what, I don't really like not having you in my life anymore. I was like, so we need to figure that out. So I opened the door, and the more we spoke, and the more we talked, the more I realized that door is open on one end, not because you don't want it, but because you haven't changed a bit. You haven't pursued the things that made you who you are, which is not a good, which have made you the way you are, which is not going to be, this is not going to make this not successful. Because I told her, I was like, I was like, I was like, you need to see a therapist. I was like, it's, because it's not just about mental health. It's like just navigating life in general, which is hard for anybody. And, I gave her the number for my therapist. I told my therapist, I was like, hey, she might get in contact with you. She might not. And he goes, if she gets in contact with me, I'll make sure she gets the same, the same treatment that you, the same deal that you get. No,
Yeah.
not going to disclose, but I'll make sure that he goes, I won't tell you, but I'll make sure that she gets the same. As a favor to you, and as a referral, I'll make sure that she gets.
That's nice.
So we did that, and I don't know if she ever. I don't know. She didn't get in contact with him. I know she didn't. And I was like, at this point, you've got to go. I was like, if we can, because just talking to somebody, he's like, you haven't changed a bit. You haven't grown up at all. You're not willing to accept the things that happened in the past. You're not willing to, because when I asked him, like, what do you do about, like, I was like, how are you handling, like, situations with family, or, like, because there's a lot of stuff going on in her personal life. I was like, how are you dealing with that? And her response was, I talked to my family. I talked to my brothers. And I'm like, or I talk to friends. And I'm like, friends make a good soundboard.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is, at a certain point, and if you're listening out there, keep this in mind, because this could possibly save your friendship. At a certain point, your friends don't want to hear about your personal life. They don't want to hear about, I mean, not that they don't want to hear about it, but they can't help you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, they want to help you, but they can't. So, like, when you tell your friends about things that are going on, that you're just exposition dumping all this stuff that's happened, right? And you're like, what do I do? Well, they're going to tell you what you can do. They're going to tell you what you can do.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not going to help you. And it's not because they don't want to, it's because they can't. Friends are not equipped to help you with your mental illness or your traumatic experience. They're not equipped to do that. Are they good to talk to get those feelings out?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But there are professionals in this world that are paid to help you navigate those situations and to process those feelings that you have and put them towards a more positive and put them towards more positive note.
Yeah.
Your friends are there to have fun with and to create memories with. And if you're not creating those memories and you're just dumping all of your problems on them, at a certain point, it's like, you're I hate to say this, but you're bringing me down.
Yeah.
And you're just, and that's what and I've told a friend of mine that. I was like, listen, I love you, but I can't help you. Like, what you need is beyond just, a friendship help. I'm here to help you, or I'm here, I'll here for you.
Friend a P.
Yeah, I'm here to help you, and I'll be as helpful as I can, but the help that you need, I cannot help you with that.
Mm-hmm.
And the quicker they understand that, the quicker your friendship, it's going to save your friendship, because at a certain point, you're just like, listen, this road that you're going down, I'm not following.
Yeah.
Because I'm on a different one.
Well, I was going to say, along to your point, like, at some point, yeah, you can tell your friends everything. But, like, me as a friend, if I tell you advice or if I give you advice and then the next time we meet, you're telling me the exact same thing, the exact same problem,
right,
and I've already given you, like, my best advice and you did not take it, I don't want to have this conversation with you 14 times.
No.
I don't. And if you're not going to listen to me, I'm going to just, I mean,
Yeah.
But therapists, on the other hand, will be like, will almost like call you out and be like, okay, but did you try out what we talked about last time? Versus it being kind of awkward to say that to your friend.
Yeah. Like, you're like, I told you what you can do. I told you what you should do. I told you how you should handle the situation, but you didn't do any of that. You did completely opposite of what you did.
And you did not listen to a thing I said.
And you're like, you want me to help you, but I can't help you because you're not helping yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that gets annoying too, because you're like, I like being your friend. I enjoy being friends with you. I enjoy the time we spend together.
Mm-hmm.
But you coming to me with the same problems over and over again, and you're not doing anything to fix it, at this point, it's not a, at that point, you're like, it's no longer just a one-time issue. It's a, not only is it a behavior, but it's also, there's a reason this is happening. Mm-hmm. But I can't help you discover that reason because of the fact that I'm not a professional. But yeah, therapists will absolutely call you out and then make you want to cuss them out, because I've done that a couple of times. The reason I bring that up is because this, like I said, that conversation there is just a telltale sign of somebody who is not ready to be in a relationship, or should not be dating at all.
No.
Not because they're not like healthy or whatever, or because they're crazy. It's because you still have issues with stuff that happened in the past.
Very clear. Like,
I still have issues of stuff that happened in the past. I'm dealing with it, I think.
Yeah.
I'm in the best way possible.
Yeah. It's kind of embarrassing to read that text message, honestly, because I'm like, wow, girl, calm down. But then again, we still don't know what happened before that.
Yeah.
And I can understand, because you did say that some people, like a few ladies had commented and they were like, for her, right? Or
yeah,
I don't know.
And then there's some of them are like, he shouldn't have said it that way or whatever, or it's too soon for you to be talking like that, which in general is, that's completely
I feel like that's the context we don't have.
Exactly.
Like, how long have they?
And for me, like, if you open, like, I won't open that door. You have to open that door for me to talk like that. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
And if you open that door and I do that, and then all of a sudden you're like, boom, slam it shut.
Yeah.
And it's like, now what do I do?
Yeah.
Because, and I hate to say this, women do that shit. And not all women, but a lot of women will open that door by talking to you and speaking to you in a more intimate manner, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then immediately, like maybe a couple of days later, just immediately just slam that door shut because they're not, like, it was too much for them, or it's not something they were ready for, or something. I don't know. But then you're like, but they don't tell you that door is shut. It's just they slam the door shut and you continue with that, and then their responses are lackluster.
What happened? Yeah.
But the problem is nobody asks those questions. Nobody says what happened. Like, there's so many instances where I could have asked what happened, and I didn't.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, it's embarrassing. Because you don't want to be in that, you don't want to be, like, guys get embarrassed when they can't, like, understand something. Or, no. When they have to ask for guidance or ask for help. I don't know. Because, like, I'm one of those guys that in the dating world, I need guidance. I need you to hit me over the head with the understanding of what's going on. Because I don't pick up on hints at freaking all.
It's pulling my hair.
I don't, like, if you give me a hint, I don't take it because I don't know. Because maybe you're just being friendly. Maybe, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you tell me, like, at a certain point, right? At a certain point, you need to be able to pick up on those cues of how that person is talking. But there's no, like, when or where. It's always like, you pick up on the cues, and then all of a sudden the cues disappear because they're like, I'm not really into that. And maybe, and you know what? At a certain point, it's just they're not into you anymore. They thought they were, but they don't communicate that.
No.
It's either A, you get cold responses, B, they just don't respond at all. Yeah. And it just completely deteriorates. And that's the one thing.
Yeah. I think one thing that will probably never change about the female brain is that we tend to think we are more communicative than we are. Like Colin, I still struggle with it, and we're 11 years deep, like I will have a whole conversation with him in my head and then get mad that he doesn't know what I'm talking about. And he's like, what are you talking about? And he's getting mad, and then I get mad because he's mad, and then it's a never-ending
cycle.
Yeah, but I'm like, I just told you this. And he's like, you didn't say anything out loud. Talk to me with your outside words.
Use your outside voice.
And then, like, I don't want to admit that I had a whole conversation in my head without him, So then it turns into the blame game, and
there's no blame to be had. It's just one of those things. Like, for example, if most guys know that women like to be chased or they want to be chased,
Mm-hmm.
right? We have no problem doing that. Or at least I don't have a problem doing that because if you make it worth my while and you make it so, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then I'll make the pursuit. It's not that big of a deal because whatever. That's how this game is played or that's how this is supposed to go. I don't know.
Yeah.
But if I'm not doing enough, you need to tell me.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? If what I'm doing isn't really working for you, or like the way I'm pursuing this, if it's not working, I think it would be easier if you just said, "Hey, I appreciate what you're doing, but you're going about it in the wrong way.
Yeah.
This is what I want." And if you want like a list of things, and then it's like, I'm not willing to do that because you're not willing to do this. That's going to save so much more fucking time.
It will. For sure.
So because most people think that guys are supposed to be able to pick up on those cues,
Yes.
and most guys don't pick up on those cues. And
Mm-hmm.
if you're upfront and honest about what you really want, most guys will do that. Unless it's just something that's a completely just like something that like no, there's no way. Like I'm not doing. I was like, I'll do that for you. It's like I'll do that for you eventually, but not right now. So that's off the table. And if that's and that might be a red flag in its own right. Like, you're asking way too much at this point. So go away. Doesn't happen.
No.
Not for me anyway. Because like if I had more people be like, you're going about this the wrong way. It's like I like you, but I need you to do X, Y, and Z. At first, that's okay. I think that's okay because it's like, you want me to do these things? Awesome. But at a certain point, if you have to constantly remind that person they have to do that thing, maybe you need to reevaluate where you're at because marriage is different. Because when I've noticed that when guys get married, they lose the other half of their brain and they just forget to do things. I've noticed that. I've noticed that with all of my friends that have gotten married. No offense to any of you guys. I've noticed that because at a certain point, you just like lost. You just lost it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But what were you gonna say? I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, it's fine. I don't remember. But you had said that and it reminded me of like you were just saying I want the girl to have the same energy texting me.
Yeah. Throughout the entire time.
And then when you said that about marriage, it's like I feel like that almost switches. Like after you get married, your husband kind of settles into comfortability, which is totally fine because you have the rest of forever. But it's the women often a couple years into your marriage, you're like, I wish you would buy me flowers like you did when we first started dating. And they just kind of don't necessarily think about that. And it's not always flowers. Let me start that. But I'm using that as and you often feel like you don't want to ask for it. You just want them to do it, but they don't know you want it.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you're.
Yeah. Because you could save yourself a lot of time. It's like, I want you to buy me flowers more often. Or I would appreciate if you did those same things that you did when we were dating.
Yeah.
Not all the time, but I would appreciate the surprise.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. No problem. And if they don't do that, and they just let it go, maybe you have to reevaluate.
Mm-hmm.
Marriage is a whole different thing because there's not really much reevaluating you can do. Because it's like, you're not like stuck.
Yeah.
But there's just a lot more processes that go through, I think. Because I have no clue about marriage, so whatever. But yeah, it's hard to reevaluate those type of situations. And let's see. Do we want to get in? You know what? I'll get into this too. Do you want to keep going?
I'm good with whatever.
Do you need to take a break? Do we need to take a break?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what were we going to say? Sorry.
I'm good. You go.
Okay. All right. Cool. So during our show with Olivia and Tiana, I discovered something about myself that I wasn't aware of, and that I don't know if I don't like it.
Okay.
And I'll put this out there because this made me think about this, and also it was a conversation I had with another girl that made me realize that there's something that I discovered about me that I don't know if I'm okay with. And this is what it is. I don't want kids.
Okay.
Which again is fine. But as I it was two things. It was one, it was first thing was I'm too selfish right now. There's a lot of things that I want to do, and there's a lot of things that I want to go through life and experience before I reach that point.
Okay.
And the second thing was I could not fathom two things, actually three things. One, I could not fathom the idea of trying to raise a child in this society, in this world. That scares the hell out of me.
Mm-hmm.
And the third thing was I still have problems that I have from a child that I'm still working through.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I don't want to be like my dad.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Or sorry, it's not that I don't want to be like my dad. It's just like I'm not ready for that type of situation. And I discovered that because I was having a conversation during when Olivia was talking about her pregnancy and the things that she was going through and being a mom and stuff like that. And I was like, and I looked back and I listened to the podcast. I'm like, I don't want that. And my eyes just got big as saucers. I was like, I don't want that. Not right now, but then I started realizing like that kind of eliminates a lot of like the dating pool for me because there's a lot of single mothers out there, and it's like, damn it, that kind of like switches things up for me a little bit. So then I thought about that, but it's just one of those things where I just thought about it and I was like, I don't really want this right now. Like, and which like everybody's like, why did you just discover that? Why is that a bad thing? Well, it's not a bad thing. I'm just saying like, I feel like I've been sending the wrong messages to a lot of people, and I felt bad about that because I've always been on the fence about it.
Yeah.
Because like you'll meet somebody and you find out they have a child, and you're like, no problem. Mm-hmm. Because if you feel if that can come down the road later. Mm-hmm. It is what it is kind of thing. But then it's like I don't really want to deal with that now because also I feel like where we are and a lot of things I've discovered is there's not a timetable that's put on something like that. Mm-hmm. As far as like introducing your kids to who you're seeing, who you're dating. Yeah. That just kind of like, and it kind of happens earlier than it should, in my opinion. Because I've seen a lot of like, some guys are built for that, some guys are not. Like I have a couple of friends who were like, they were introduced, the girl they met, and then all of a sudden they found out she had a kid, and then it was just cool. Yeah. And it just became perfect. Then you have other situations where it's too soon for this child, it's too soon for you to introduce the kid, and then all of a sudden the guy disappears, and then you're having to answer questions that you don't want to answer. Yeah. Right? And that scares the hell out of me too. Because like, what if your kid likes me, but then you stop liking me? Yeah. Then what? God, that would tear me apart. Yeah. I was like, no, you know what?
I totally get that.
But yeah, I was talking with a girlfriend of mine I think we were talking over Snapchat, which by the way, I hate Snapchat. But some people like communicating through Snapchat, and I'm like, whatever, I'll deal with it. And plus, I use it to promote the podcast, so whatever. We were talking, and she was talking about the guy that she was seeing and stuff like that. I don't know how serious it was; I can't remember. Mm-hmm. And the subject of her possibly being pregnant came up. Okay. I was like, man, I was like, there's things you can do to avoid that because. I know everything. And she was like, if it happens, she goes, I think I'm ready for that to happen. So you're like, and I was like, but you just started seeing this guy. And she's like, if it's meant to be that way, then it's meant to be that way. Mm. She goes, I want to be a mom sooner rather than later. And I was like, okay. And then I had that inkling again, and I was like, that would scare me to death. I don't want that. So it was just, that's a dumbed down conversation. But I discovered that, and I was like, damn, so that's another reason why I've taken a back seat, or I've taken like a back seat to the whole idea of dating again. Because I need to reevaluate where I am, because a lot of the dating pool, for me anyway, has been single mothers. And it's like, it's not a red flag. It's never been a red flag. It will never be a red flag. But it's just one of those things where it's like, I don't really want kids right now. Maybe I don't. Maybe you know what? Honestly, maybe I don't ever have kids. I hate to put that in the universe because, but at the same time, it's like as it stands right now, I'm just too selfish. And I hope people don't take that the wrong way, because I don't see myself as a selfish human being. But in that regard, I'm like I can't fathom the idea of raising a child in this society, because I would there's just no way. There's no way. like I feel bad for kids these days because they have access to so many more things and they learn so much more. Like being a kid, it's not even possible to be a kid anymore these days.
Seriously.
Because there's so many other things you can discover through like social media, or kids are getting into stuff they have no business being into at an early age.
Yeah.
You're like, how do you navigate that? Like, and people will tell you like, there's no way to navigate that because you don't know what's going to happen. True, but you have to have some sort of idea of our society is in a really weird place right now as far as being kids. Kids can't really be kids, and that's the thing that terrifies me as well.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
I mean, I thinking about what you said, and I just in the dating pool and the amount. Maybe I shouldn't say it like that, but the single mothers who are looking to date that you might get matched up with, it's such a hard conversation to have. Of like there's a fine line, a fine balance of maybe you're not ready to meet the kid, but like how do you say that and not disappoint the mom?
right.
You know, like
or if they want to have kids later on down the road.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't really have a timetable on that.
Yeah. Well, women have.
And I was about to, and see, that was the thing, is I was about to bring that up because, again, that's why I feel like the thing, I feel like where I'm at now
Yeah.
is probably going to like, not going to be good for me because I learned this. Or actually, I actually just learned this recently because I'm an idiot. Y'all have a timetable to when y'all can have kids, and I guess your like that whole clock starts ticking, and does that change the perspective of how y'all go about life?
100%.
Okay.
Because if you do want kids, I mean, when you're born, you are only blessed with a certain amount of eggs. And once they're gone, they're gone.
Holy shit.
And you don't know that until you get testing done or whatever it is that you have to go through.
I learned that. I think it was during the conversation I had with my friend.
That's why a lot of women will like freeze their eggs and then wait until they're ready, but even that has its own consequences of like, will it be viable?
Yeah, I hate that because like on one hand, like actually no, I take it back. On one hand, I understand that, like because like some people are trying to, and then but it just kind of freaks me out because I feel like people move too quickly.
No.
Into where they're into a situation they don't need to be in because their clock is ticking. I hate to say that. But it's true. And it's like, oh man, I don't really want that. Like for example, if she has a kid already and you're hitting it off, can't change that. Like the kid's not going anywhere, you idiot. Like,
yeah,
but it's like, I want to have other kids. Okay, well, when? I'd rather have one sooner rather than later. You're like, oh man. Now I just kind of think about it going like, oh man. But then I was like, okay, well, we're just started dating, but okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's another thing too, where it's like that's why I've taken like just a bit like push myself away from the table as far as dating. I just thought, all right, you know what? I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm just gonna like take myself out of the equation because I have traits that are desirable, but I don't have a timetable in the way things I want to do. And would I like to be a father? Maybe. I don't know. Because again, I'm still on the fence about it, but I think what I discovered is I have a more honest answer, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because when I would be going through that conversation, and then it would be like, kids, how do you feel about them, or sort of thing. It's like, well, I obviously know you have a kid, so that's not going to change because you have a child. Like if you have a kid, that doesn't it's not a red flag or that's not a deal breaker for me. Because it is what it is, sort of thing. But the deal breaker might be, how soon do you want to have another kid, or when do you want me to meet your child? Because that can be tricky in its own right. Because sometimes you meet them too soon, and it just becomes more of a, what's the word I'm looking for? Like more of a job, as opposed to like an experience. Does that make sense?
Okay. Explain that further.
I don't think job is the right way for to say this, but I think in my head, the way it works in my head is if you're introduced to a kid, if you're introduced to the child, that adds a lot more that adds a stronger dynamic
Okay, yeah.
to the expectations of where you're going with this. Right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
So all of a sudden, those expectations go from this is supposed to be an experience of one-on-one thing to maybe a little bit more pressure of getting involved or more involved, or get more pressure of getting more involved and turning that corner quicker than what you wanted to.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, because again, but it goes back to what I say is like some guys are built for that. They can just turn that corner and just like not experience any whiplash and just be like, okay. Or, that's what they're supposed to do or whatever. That's what some guys are made to do that, I guess.
Yeah.
But you don't put a timetable on it, and all of a sudden, like you're 2 weeks in, and you're like, "Oh, hey, by the way, my kid's coming with us." Which, first of all, don't do that. Well, I mean, whatever, you can do that if you want to. Just don't. Just be ready for whatever happens next.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, again, guys, I don't know. It's just me. I just had that thought of, because it goes back to, when you meet somebody, they have a kid, but they don't put a timetable on when you're going to meet the kid or if you even ever meet the kid or the kid knows who you are. You know what I'm saying? At that point, once they learn who you are and they meet you, I feel like that expectation turns a little bit more as to a little bit more serious. And then it becomes more of like, now there's two people involved there's 3 people in this as opposed to just the two of us.
Yeah.
Because now you've introduced me, now it's harder for me to like want to walk away. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Not saying like it's a trap or whatever. What I'm saying is like
you're invested.
You've invested more than what was originally thought of, and just by meeting that little human being, it becomes a lot more serious.
Yeah.
Because, and that's, luckily I've never been in that situation. Well, I have been in that situation one time, but it just like backfired completely. It wasn't actually really didn't backfire. It just kind of like just went up in smoke, just kind of disappeared as it went on. But yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot, and I am not entirely sure. Well, I know why, because again, I can give a more honest answer. Because at first, I was like, I'm on the fence about it. Like, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, whatever. You have a child. I'm good with being a step parent. I don't even know if that's a thing.
Oh yeah.
Because I've seen so many things where it's like, I'm not your dad, or you don't have to call me dad, or something like that. You know what I'm saying? And then I've met other guys who they're a stepfather, but they call them dad, and it's like.
Personally, I think it's when the kid is introduced. Like if they're like young, and that's all the only dad they've ever known, or like then that's often when I'll see the stepchild call the stepdad a dad.
Mm-hmm.
But like if they're older introduced, I'll just see them call them like their name.
Yeah. Which again, with me, I've always been like, that's not a problem for me. You can call me by my name. You want to call me dad? That's cool. Whatever. If it comes down to that, like whatever, in my head, if I created that scenario,
whatever the kid's comfortable with is
like, if you're 16 years old, like, you're not my dad. You're right. I'm not your dad. Yeah. Be grateful. I'm not your dad. Yeah. I just thought about that for a couple of weeks, and I'm like, and again, like I said, I think the reason why I came to that realization is because I'm like, I can have a more honest conversation if I ever decide to do that again. Because I think that was, because again, I was honest, but I wasn't honest enough. Okay. If that makes sense. Because it's like, I try to skip over the whole having kids thing because it's like, I'm not ready to have that conversation. That's not a conversation we should be having now. Like, I feel like if you have that conversation on the first date, maybe not. I don't know. I'm only speaking for experience, and two, it just depends on how involved you are with the person. Like, were you friends beforehand, or you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just so weird to have, like, if you're meeting somebody for the first time and you want to talk about like, do you want kids and stuff like that. I just feel like that's a little strange to have that on a first date, just because it's like, well, now you're adding expectations and a little bit more pressure than this really
okay. I guess I could agree with you there, but I think there are personalities out there that would like want to know before
Yeah.
they put any more time into it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. My only thought process is like, it's like, do you want to have kids? Yeah, eventually. Or I don't really have a timetable on that. Well, I do have a timetable on it. And I can only think about this because I feel like I would misinterpret that. And here's why I would misinterpret that. You're a lot more, I would, when we have that, if we have that conversation, right? I would feel like, and this is just me, you're a lot more invested in this than just a simple get to know you. You know what I'm saying? Like you've already decided that I might be the person for you.
Yeah.
Or you've made that decision, or you're a lot more into me than.
Like you're asking me to have a kid.
Like, yeah, you're a lot more into me than you're telling me this, but you're not really. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like we're having that conversation about having kids, but then 2 weeks later he goes to me.
Yeah.
You're like,
wait, what?
Hold on a second. Like, so that's where that mindset comes from, because I'm like, I can't read anything into what we're talking about because of the fact that you're probably going to disappear on me in 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and that's where I was just like when we had that conversation, like, I don't think it means anything. Maybe it does at that moment in time, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Like I give you the answers, and then it's like, okay, and then you don't tell me anything all of a sudden.
Like what about my answers was not correct? It's like taking one of those online tests, and you're like, did I get them right? Yeah. What was my score?
Yeah, and then they just don't talk about it ever again. All right, well, can we do this a second time? Not really. I remember I did have I was seeing somebody, and we talked about that on the first date. Which, again, I'm an open book, ask me anything, whatever. Mm-hmm. And after that moment, like the conversation started to deteriorate, right?
Okay.
And, the responses became few and far between. And then she just messaged me one day and she goes, sorry, I've been distant. She goes, I met somebody. I think the phrase she uses is more organically. Because I met her through Facebook, through the dating app. And then she met somebody, I guess, like she said organically.
Okay.
And I was like, and she's like, I'm not really the type of person that dates 2 people at the same time or whatever. And first of all, quick note, if you're listening, when they say that is your cue to exit.
Okay.
Because.
Well, not that I need it. But...
No. For people that's listening, that's your cue to exit. Because that's no choice is a choice.
Okay.
Like if you're like, I'm not that, like she said to me, I'm not that person that dates 2 people at the same time. Technically you can do that. Not like exclusively.
Right. You can
like
on multiple dates.
Yeah, we have not made, and I that's what I said. I said, we have not established any sort of exclusive. You can pursue anything you want. Just know that if you're going to do that, then I'm going to do that, because we're both allowed to do that. Mm-hmm. But that's also your cue to exit. The reason I say it's your cue to exit, because in all technicality, she's already made a choice. You know what I'm saying? Like, even though she's not making a choice at that point, she's already made that choice.
Yeah.
This is more organic than what you and I have. I don't know where the organic comes from, but whatever. Mm-hmm. Is he because he's free range and you met me on a dating app? Like, what the hell? Anyway. But it was just, that just came to my head because I was like,
were y'all within the same city?
Yeah.
Or
I mean, I believe she lived.
How strange. Because you could meet up, and it couldn't be organic in that sense.
Yeah, and we did meet up. We had met up. We met up. I think I met her at a. That's why this reminded me. So the lunch place we went to with Tiana and Olivia was right down the street from where I had my date with that girl. It was at a cigar house.
Okay.
She likes cigars, which was green flag number 1 for me, because that's interesting. I want to pursue that further because that's interesting.
Yeah.
And the reason I brought it up was because I passed it on the way home that day. And I was like, oh. So then I just started thinking back to that comment. So that's when I started thinking back, and I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, we met up, and then, I was like, can we do this again? And then that's when she said the whole thing about the guy. And I was like, I don't know what that means. But again, the conversation there was no like, hey, this has been great, or I had a great time, but I don't want to pursue this further. It's just.
How weird.
Yeah, it was just, and that's just one of the things where it's like, everything is cool up front, and then it just
man,
kind of disappears after a while. It's an interesting life. Again, that's why I've just like taken myself off the table and just like, all right. And they're like, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Or if it's gonna happen, it'll happen when you're least expecting it.
Oh,
I hate that so much.
yeah.
Because it's like, again, with my brain, the way my brain works, I can't tell if it's I can't tell.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll be like, she's just being nice to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't read those cues. It's like, I'm not dating right now, but she likes me. Yeah, she's just being nice.
Yeah.
You know, and then all of a sudden you're like, 2 weeks later, you're like, oh, damn it. You know, but yeah, I don't know. How do we get on? Oh, yeah, the text message thing. Again, be clear. I guess bringing this back around, the whole thing is be more clear and concise about what you want and the way you want things done. Because guys will do those things.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to tell them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, if you have to tell them all the time, you might need to reevaluate because at that point, either A, he's not listening, or B, he doesn't take you seriously. Same goes for the girls. If you want to do something and they don't do it, guess what? You need to reevaluate. I think people wait around too long. I think, and that's also I think the reason I bring that up is because I think people settle for way too quickly, and they're willing to overlook these deal breakers, so to speak, because they think they'll change in time. They're not going to change in time. Because that's and I bring that up because that guy was like, nope, like you've shown me enough. I need to get out of here.
That's crazy. I mean, honestly, that's commendable.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, when you can see an out, or not see an out because that's the wrong way to say that, but when you notice it's like, you know what, this isn't what I want, and you're giving me all the cues. I gotta go. Again, that's commendable because it's like it's commendable because it's like not a lot of people will do that. They'll sit there and just wait for things to change, and they don't change. But they don't change because A, you didn't make it clear enough, and B, you're accepting that. So
Yeah.
don't I hate to say it, don't accept less than what you're worth, but it's kind of true.
It definitely. Oh man, I had a little thing up on this thing and I lost it. It was the end of that conversation.
The text conversation?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Well, I don't know. I lost it. Sorry. I agree wholeheartedly about what you said about having kids right now. I mean,
I feel like I've done way too much talking today, so I need you to talk. I'm just kidding. I'm not like that. I'm just like, I've done a lot of talking. I want you to give me your perspective on all the stuff that I just said, if it's possible.
Well, Colin and I are definitely wanting to start a family. I'm having to go through some tests and stuff to maybe jumpstart that.
Oh, okay.
That process, which is exciting and fun, but I then like also at the same time it's like hard because it feels easy for a lot of people. I know it's not. Trust me, I know it's not. But like when somebody shares their positive, it's like your negative feels that much harder.
Yeah.
Man, it's been rough. It's been rough the past couple months, but we're getting through it, trying to stay positive and stress-free and just doing everything I can to foster that. But I don't see anything wrong with you not wanting to have kids right now. I mean, it is absolutely terrifying out there. And the things that these kids go through or that I get to watch my nieces and nephews go through, I'm like, you're like 9. Why do you have this problem already?
Yeah, right.
When I was 9, my biggest problem was like having to be home by the streetlights turning on. You know, how do I contact the city to make it turn on later in the evening so I don't have to go home yet? But these kids deal with like boyfriends already and girlfriends and just like these things, and I'm like, you're in elementary school. Stop it. Stop it.
And then,
Oh,
like, do you have like how do you have an adult conversation about that? Because it's like, if it was me, I'd be like, listen, that problem is never going to change.
yeah.
You're gonna have problems. Like, if you're gonna have problems with dating your whole life. Let me tell you that right now. So guess what you're gonna do? You're not gonna focus on that. You're gonna be a kid,
Yeah.
and you're gonna do this, and
Yeah.
you're don't worry about that, because that problem will never leave you, my friend.
Yeah.
That will always be a problem. Maybe it's not like, maybe it won't be a problem when you get to like when you're older, but right now, don't even.
They're just so exposed, and like the family shows that they put out now, or they're just so heavy with that. And I was actually like I coach gymnastics, right?
Yeah.
And um I have girls from the age of 6 to all the way to 13. And I was talking to, I think, a 9 or 8 year old, and she's like telling me all of her problems about her boyfriend. I'm like, why? And then I was having a separate conversation with in a different setting with a family friend, and I there were 3 kids there. And I asked them, "Oh my gosh, well, like, what's your biggest fear?" Like, we were playing this game, and they had asked me first, and I think I said something silly like purple spiders or something. Because I thought, I mean, they ranged from about 8 to 12, and I thought I was being silly. I wasn't, apparently. I'm not cool. And the little boy, I think he was like, oh, like, I don't know, snakes or something. And then the other girl gave a different answer. But the oldest girl, she was like, my biggest fear is that I won't have a boyfriend by the time I'm in high school. And I was like,
How old was she?
I think 8 at the time. I'm pretty sure.
Why?
And I'm like, you have so many years till you get to high school, first of all. And second of all, me personally, I did not have a boyfriend until the second semester of senior year. That was my very first ever boyfriend.
Hmm.
And it only lasted 3 weeks because I knew that he had asked me out on Valentine's Day, but I knew he still had his girlfriend. Like, we all knew he was dating this one girl. He told me he broke up with her, asked me out like a week later, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Well, I heard a rumor that they didn't actually break up, so I didn't kiss him. Like, he would try to kiss me, and I'm like, I'm okay. um and spoiler alert, I did not kiss any, like, I still was a kiss-free person. Hadn't had my first kiss yet. And so, like, 3 weeks later, he ended up breaking up with me, and he told everyone it was because I was a prude. And that whole second half of my senior year, that's all anyone would ever call me, a prude. And I was like, you know what, whatever, I don't even care. And so homecoming came around, and he showed up with her. That was the only football game I ever went to, was my senior homecoming. It's because my mom bought me a mum, and I was like, okay, I'll wear it and I'll go to the game. I left halfway through. I was like, I don't want to be here. I don't care about any of this. I like football, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but I hated that place.
Yeah.
And so I ended up leaving. I was with a friend who brought me over to this guy's house, and we ended up walking to the park, and she walked away with his friend, and so it was just me and this guy, and we were talking about everything and nothing. And he was like asking me all these super personal questions, and it did come up that I hadn't been kissed. And so he pushed me by my chest up against the slide and slammed his mouth onto my mouth and stole my first kiss. So that was super romantic. It happened exactly how the Princess Diaries told me it would. And then after that, it just kind of like shattered me. And then later I found out that he was friends with the guy I dated, and he had dared him to do that for $20. $20. And it hurt. It wasn't enjoyable. So yep, that happened. I don't know how I got onto that conversation or why I got there, but you're welcome.
I don't think I had a girlfriend through high school at all. No, I didn't. Well, no. Now you're making me think. I had one my freshman year.
I didn't date anybody else till I got out of high school. And my next boyfriend after that.
I had a girlfriend my sophomore or my freshman year, and then just never another girlfriend until like I got out of high school. I remember, yeah. Speaking of homecoming, so my sister-in-law at the time, or no, sorry, not at the time, she's still my sister-in-law, but she made mums and garters.
Okay.
So she made me one, a garter.
Oh.
Isn't that what that's called? Yeah.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
I wasn't seeing anybody at the time. I didn't have a girlfriend or anything like that.
Neither did I.
Yeah, and she made me one. And because I remember going to my junior and senior prom by myself.
So don't get me started about prom.
If you're a high school kid out there, that shit don't mean nothing.
Mm-mm.
It's not worth the amount of energy you put into it. I mean, I don't want to say that.
Go.
No, of
Just
course,
go. But don't worry
go
if you have a date or not. I mean, honestly.
Don't go with expectations.
Go with your friends.
Yeah.
Have fun.
But yeah, I remember I wasn't seeing anybody, and plus I was I worked the football games.
Yeah.
So like I was on the field and I wore that damn thing,
mm-hmm.
and I was like, and everybody asked me like, who are you here with, and who gave that to you? And I was like, and I didn't tell them who it was. Like I didn't answer the question. I was just like, oh, I gotta go, and I was like, and then I realized how dumb it was that I was still had this thing on my arm. So that made me remember. Oh yeah, I don't really actually. I was like, I did that too.
I still have mine in my closet, my senior mom. But it's because my mom bought it for me. You know? Like, had it been some boyfriend that happened, or, you know, like, if that was my situation and he had bought that for me, I would have thrown that thing out years ago. But my mom bought it for me, so.
I don't think I still have mine. I think I kept mine for about 6 months after that, and then I just got rid of it because I'm like, this. Yeah. Not that it didn't mean anything. Like, it was made by my sister-in-law.
I'm a memory hoarder.
My sister is the same way.
Yeah.
I don't make enough. I don't take. Okay. Speaking of that, I don't take the initiative in creating and like keeping track of memories.
Okay.
Like as in like taking pictures or like I guess capturing. Okay, so yeah, sorry, capturing them. I don't take enough of initiative to capture them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like I'll just remember them, but I don't have like any mementos for it. Yeah. So yeah. I have memories, but I don't like have like hard photos of like certain time frames, stuff like that. And I'm pretty bad about that. And I tell myself I'm going to do a better job of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just don't do it because it's too much work.
Yeah.
It's not really that much work to take your phone out and take a picture.
Well,
Or I'll take the picture and then I don't do anything with it. It just sits in my camera.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I need to put this somewhere so I can share. I want to be that social media guru and like share it with everybody.
Yeah.
But then it's like 6 months later, I'm like, why do I still have that?
Yeah.
And I can't share it now because it's like 6 months ago. Damn it.
You could do what they call a photo dump.
Yeah, I see people do that a lot, and I'm just like, my favorite thing is when people say photo dump and it's like 4 or 5 pictures. I don't.
Yeah, I'm like, wait.
I was like, I don't. That's a day. I don't know if I consider that a photo dump, but fine. Or when they drop like 60 something pictures, and you're like, holy cow.
Yeah, when I got my pictures back for my wedding, I did a whole photo dump of like 500 and some odd pictures.
I cannot fathom having that many pictures, because then you have to realize which ones you want to keep, which ones need to go. Yeah, you're like,
Yeah. Anyway,
we are 2 hours in, my friend. I think we ran the gambit.
Oof. Yeah.
You want to cut it off here?
Go eat lunch.
Time to get out of here.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. If you listened this far in, thank you for riding with us. Appreciate that again. We're going to be a lot more consistent going forward as far as like releasing episodes. Again, if we say something on here that resonates with you, feel free to reach out, talk to us, let us know. We can discuss it, and we can discuss it on another episode if you want us to. If you want us to dive deeper into it, we can do so.
Share your stories with us, and
don't be afraid. You know, this is again, we're doing this A, for entertainment value, and B, it is a personal journal into our lives. And not only that, but it's for everybody's life. So if you have something you want to share that is similar or even like not even similar to what we experience, share it. And then we can share it on here, or if you want to give us feedback on how we do our show. If there's something we do that you like, you want us to do more of, cool. If there's something we do that you don't like, don't share that. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, if you want us to get more into more detail about the things we go through, tell us that. Because I'm gonna be real with you. I'm gonna try to wrap this up pretty quickly. I'm gonna be real with you. We hold a lot of other details back.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of I do anyway. Sorry, I don't want to speak for you.
Of course,
but we hold a lot more details back because of the quote unquote TMI factor that comes with it. For one, and two, we don't want to we don't want to put somebody out there that doesn't want to be put out there. For one, that's why we don't want to like drag a story along. But if you want us to be a lot more lost the word that I was going to say. If you want us to be a lot more detailed in the way we tell our stories, tell us that. You know, I get a lot of like questions as far as when I did the whole nice guy dilemma thing.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten people that want me to discuss that further, and they want me to push further into that, but they don't tell me what they want me to talk about. Yeah, there's so many things I could cover with that. I'm actually rereading the book as we speak because again, people are giving me feedback on that, and they're like, "You should talk more about that," and I'm like, "Okay." So anyway. I think that's all we have for y'all. Again, if you've listened this far, thank you.
Yeah.
It's really, really appreciative, but I think we have ran the gambit on everything that we could have talked about today.
Yep. So we'll release this probably today. And then watch for our shorts throughout the week and give us a like, comment, share. Oh, please share.
Share the hell out of it. Like, tell your friends, post it on your Instagram, post it on your Facebook, send us a message, whatever. Do it. Reach out. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I've got this inkling that there are people that I want to reach out to and have them on here and just have a conversation.
Yeah.
But I don't want to open that door because that would be weird. But yeah, again.
Oh, I'm going to sneeze. I'm sorry. Okay. No,
again,
it's fine.
Share the content, like it, subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.
Yep. Bye.